Hi everyone, it's Melissa, and today I am celebrating 4 years on Booktube. And to celebrate this year, I thought I would do the Booktube Oldie tag. I feel like I've been on Booktube long enough to officially call myself a Booktube oldie now. So that's what we're doing today. I think, like a lot of booktubers, when we start out, the first video I ever did was the Booktube newbie tag, which in retrospect I don't think is the best video to make your first video, because it's asking you questions that you can't possibly know the answer to without having started. I think that needs to be like your 5th or 10th video or something. But anyway, I digress. I am going to do the Booktube oldie tag today to celebrate 4 years on Booktube. So the original is by Monica Kim. I will link to the original and I'll make sure the questions are down below. I'm not going to tag anybody because I don't know when different creators consider themselves oldies. Maybe after a year they consider themselves one. Maybe it has to be longer than I consider being a Booktube oldie. So if you consider yourself someone who's been around Booktube for a good while and haven't done this yet, please do consider yourself tagged. So the first question is, how long have you been part of the Booktube community? So I started my channel 4 years ago today, if I get this video up in time, and I was watching Booktube before starting a channel for maybe 6 months to a year before that, maybe about a year before I decided to make a channel. I was watching. I wasn't commenting and I wasn't engaged in the community, but I was watching Booktube for between half a year to a year. Number 2 is, what was your biggest misconception before starting Booktube? I guess my biggest, this isn't 100% a misconception because I think there is some truth to this, but not as much. I think I blew it out of proportion. My biggest misconception was that you had to read like a butt ton of books to start a channel. And I'm quite a slow reader, and there was one year where I read like a lot, and that was 2020. I think a lot of that was stress and just coping with the stress of COVID by reading copious amounts. And that was the year I started my channel, and I think that played into it as well. But besides that year, I would call my reading definitely way above average for the general population, but below average for some of the, a lot of the booktubers you see reading like 100 books a year. I just can't keep that pace. So my biggest misconception was that you had to read like 100 books a year to be able to talk about books. And it's true to some extent, because you have to be reading something in order to be making videos, but you don't have to be reading as much as I thought you did, because you don't have to be putting out like 2 videos a week or a video a week. You could put out 1 a month or every couple months, and as long as you read a book or 2 in that time, you could do like standalone reviews. So like there are lots of ways to do Booktube, but in my mind when I started, you had to read a lot in order to have enough content to talk about. Number 3 is, how do you think Booktube has changed since you first started? I don't know, this might be confirmation bias, but I think this is true, that when I first started, I feel like there was a lot more structure, or there was more of a formula that more people followed. Not everyone has followed this formula. I think there have always been people who have kind of done Booktube their own way, but I feel like more people followed this formula, not really formula, but did the same types of videos. So everyone did a monthly TBR, everyone did a monthly wrap up, right? Like everyone was doing these kind of Booktube staples. And I mean, people still do TBRs and wrap ups. I still do wrap ups. I don't do TBRs anymore. But I think over the last 4 years that I've been on Booktube, I've seen a real shift in a lot more creators just like not doing TBRs anymore, or people still do hauls, for example, but like fewer creators are doing hauls. People who didn't used to vlog now. I feel like there's more like individuality and variety in the types of videos people are making. I think when a lot of people start Booktube and they keep this going for like a little while, is that it's comforting, or it's helpful to have kind of that structure, that formula to follow, that, okay, I'm going to do a TBR and a wrap up and, you know, a recommendations list and whatever every month. And that's fine, but I think now that I've been around for a while and I've seen channels kind of change, that's what I've noticed, is that they don't necessarily stick to that formula. Tons of creators have stopped making certain types of videos in favor of things they just like doing better. I think a lot more people are just like getting fed up with the algorithm and not paying attention to it anymore and just doing what they want to do, and like not having a set schedule, and kind of busting out of that box of like, these are the Booktube videos that you have to do. So that's what I've noticed. Question 4 is, what is your favorite Booktube memory? I've had a great time on Booktube, but I think my favorite memory is something that actually happened when my channel was very young and I was very green. I want to say I was only making videos for maybe 3 months or 4 months, something like that. And I got a shout out on Books and Things, Katie's channel, and I watched every single one of her videos. She could be talking about something that I have no interest in, but I know that she will deliver it in a way that I find engaging, and I just love her enthusiasm. So she put out a video, and I had been a fan of her channel for a while. Like I said, I watched every video, and there was a video, Booktuber shoutouts, and I'm like, oh, like, I'd like to subscribe to some new Booktubers. So I click on the video, and she's like, you know, talking about different, you know, Booktubers that she's recently found, like newer ones. And then like my face pops up and she talks about my channel, and it was just like, I was almost like gobsmacked. Like, I couldn't believe it, because like I look up, it's kind of weird to say I look up to her because I think I'm quite a bit older than her, but I mean, like, I look up to her channel. I look up to like how she's cultivated a book community. I look up to the types of videos that she makes. I think she has a great channel. So to have her mention my dinky little channel, I think I had about like fewer than 100, like maybe 40 subscribers when she shouted me out. And yeah, it was just like an out-of-body experience. It was so cool. And it was like so exciting. So that's definitely my favorite Booktube memory. Question 5 is, what are some books that you were introduced to because of Booktube? So many, but I will try to keep this list short. And there's a few that immediately popped into my mind when I read that question, that are books that I don't think I would have found on my own. Because there are books that I read because of Booktube, because they were hyped. Like, for example, Never Let Me Go by Kazuo Ishiguro, which I loved. But I think I might have found that book on my own because I like dystopian, and, you know, I might have found that. But what comes to mind as books that I never would have picked up, I don't think, besides a booktuber talking about them in a way that I thought, oh, I might like that, were 100 Nights of Hero, Isabel Greenberg, I want to say. I'll make sure all the books and authors and whatever are in the description below. I'll put a picture of it here. I don't own this book. I really want to, but it's kind of an expensive graphic novel. I can't remember who had talked about it, but someone talked about it in a way that I thought, oh, that sounds really interesting. And I had never read really graphic novels until I started Booktube, and it was like a whole new world opened up for me. Love, love, love that book. Another book that I don't think I would have even heard about except through Booktube is Kindred, which I actually own now. Kindred by Octavia E. Butler. Great little, like, part historical fiction, part like sci-fi, part thriller type of book. Another one, actually, that has now jumped into my mind because I read it for a readathon, and I don't think I would have ever heard of it or picked it up otherwise, which I also own. Where is it? I bought this after I read it because I loved it so much. It was my favorite book of 2020, I want to say, and that's The Book of Night Women by Marlon James. Very brutal book, but just beautiful writing, beautiful characters. Amazing. I love this book so much. I never would have heard of this book. I never would have picked up, except that it happened to fit a readathon prompt. So go figure. Another book that I read because of Booktube was because of Rick McDonnell. I'll link his channel below. His channel is called, he changed its name. What is it called? It's called Why You Should Read. And a few years ago, he started a read-along of the Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn trilogy. It's a fantasy trilogy. And he just talked about these books with such enthusiasm when he made this announcement, this read-along announcement, that I was like, okay, I'll read those. And I loved these books. I thought they were fantastic. I own them. I'm not going to get them. They're way over there. But yeah, that's a fantasy series that I never would have picked up. I hadn't even heard of Tad Williams before Rick mentioned these books. So thanks, Rick. Those books are awesome. You were right. So yeah, those are just some of the books that I've read because of Booktube. And number 6 is, what is something that frustrates you about Booktube? I don't have a lot of pet peeves about Booktube. I think the biggest thing that frustrates me is there is a lot of content. That's a great thing, but there are a lot of people, a lot of channels that I really enjoy, and I know there are probably many more that I would enjoy, but I just don't have time to watch anything else. That's the biggest frustration, is that there are so many great videos, there are so many intelligent people, there are so many engaging personalities talking about books, and I don't have the time. I don't have the time to watch them all. Even the people I've been subscribed to, there are a handful of booktubers I just love so much that I will, like Katie, that I will just watch any video they put out because I know I will enjoy the video. For most people I subscribe to, I'll only watch certain videos. So maybe, for example, there will be one creator whose vlogs I really like, another creator who I will watch their like single book reviews or their wrap-ups, but maybe not necessarily their vlogs. Or maybe there are certain creators that I'll only click on like videos where the title suggests that it's a genre that I like, or that it's, you know, a standalone review of a book that I'm interested in. I just don't have time to watch and or comment and engage. Like, I wish I had more time to spend like within the community. Like, I try to comment, I try to, you know, talk with other booktubers, I try to watch people's videos, but there's too much good stuff. So, I mean, a good problem to have, but there's too much good stuff on Booktube to catch even a fraction of stuff that I know I would enjoy. And the last question, number 7, is, what is your hope for the future of Booktube? And I wish I had a good answer for this, but I really don't think about stuff like that. I don't think about, where is this, you know, little section, this little community on YouTube, where is it going? I just like the content that I like. I watch the content that I want to watch. I make the type of videos I want to make. And as long as there's always something there that I find interesting, or as long as there are always people there who I'd like to engage with, then that's fine. It can change. It can stay the same. Like, I don't really have an opinion. That's the Booktube Oldie tag. As I mentioned, if you would like to do this tag, please consider yourself tagged by me. I would love to watch your video. And as always, thank you all so much for watching, and we'll chat soon. Take care. Bye.